Hello, I have pleasure to host our guest, Dan Zamoyski, today. Hello, Dan. Nice to meet you.
Good morning. Good morning, Iwona. The Polish-American Strategic Initiative Group is an organization started fairly recently, about a year ago, I think. I was asked recently to join the board of that, and it has an evolving role, which it seeks to deal with representing Polish Americans in the USA in terms of laws, in terms of discrimination, in terms of being a voice for them, which is laudable, and I certainly support what they're doing. The other organization which I've been involved with since 2012 is the, excuse me, we go by PMI usually, but it's the Polish Media Issues Group. It was started in 2005. I've been involved since 2012, and I'm currently the head of that organization. And involving with all those gives me a lot of interface with Polish history and with Polish American groups in the UK, where I've been based since 81, as you say. And also, most of our Polish Media Issues members, we have about 2,600 now, are based in Poland. So we have a very large representation there in the home country. Now, we are an English language-based group because we are international. And most of our members, of course, are of Polish heritage, but not all of them by any means. So we aim to present the truth about Poland in the face of the many, many lies that have been presented around the world from various groups I won't name, but mostly it's a case of ignorance. Ignorance in the UK of Polish heritage, ignorance in the USA, even worse. In Poland, there's no ignorance of heritage. There are just certain political things that get in the way sometimes of presenting the truth about Poland. So when it comes to Polish Heritage Day, these celebrations, these commemorations, these activities and events, we're obviously 100% for all of that because of we deal with Polish heritage and history in a big way in terms of the Polish Media Issues Group especially.
Thank you for this introduction. You are very right. In Poland, the main problem was we were actually under communism for 8 years and we were not able to actually talk the truth. So I think
Yes.
your activity is extremely poignant because, you know, thanks to you and people like yourself, we are able to uncover the truth, even for Polish people who sometimes may not know the real history. So today, we are talking about big history for Poland, big history meaning the first constitution that was 1791, 3rd of May constitution, which was the first modern constitution in Europe and #2 in the world after the United States Constitution, which I believe was 4 years before. And this was an incredible plan of repair the country for both kingdoms at that time. The European, first European Union, in fact, which was the Poland and Lithuanian kingdoms. We all know how important day it was, how important event it was at that time, and how profound effect it had. But I just wanted to point out a couple of those profound impacts. So basically, because the constitution was meant to abolish the liberum veto, which was one of those institutions that allowed to a single deputy to basically przerwać Sejm, which means stop the debate in the Sejm and establish any progressive laws. And that was probably one of the biggest events during this constitution, or as a real effect of the constitution. But also the constitution placed the peasants under the government's protection and abolished so-called serfdom. And we know peasants were treated very badly. And also, you know, it sort of made to introduce certain common laws for both countries. So very important, profound effect for Poland. But the question today I have is actually how important it is to celebrate the Polish constitution still today. And I would like to ask you this question.
All right. Many aspects of Polish history need to be remembered and celebrated. There are many, many, many. This is a particularly important one. In my view, it's spelled out the first time that Poland as a country said, we are going to be progressive in terms of helping our citizens. We're not going to live just for the Schlachter. We're not going to live for people in foreign countries who've dominated us over previous times. We are going to set out a document which says we believe in the individual rights of people. Now, it wasn't called the Bill of Rights as it was in the USA, and I should also mention that in the UK there is still no constitution. Quite amazingly, but that's the fact.
It is indeed. You are right. You are right. We don't
Yes.
have a written constitution in Britain.
No, and it supposedly was promised. Current government, I hope and wait with bated breath to find out they actually have the courage to actually create a constitution, which then be voted on and agreed, etc. So you mentioned the American Constitution. Now that was done in a particularly difficult time in those colonies that united those 13 original states to actually have a statement which says to England, as it was their ruler previously, here's what we are about. This is what we are. And look at the current situation in the USA today. There are constitutional battles going on right now. There's certain conservative groups that say we must adhere to this constitution. There are other groups which I don't support, which will try to undermine the basic tenets of this constitution, which have stood the test of a long time, more than 230 years, as in the Polish one. So this constitution issue is really topical, it's critical, it's eternally important, and therefore it's really important for the Polish people around the world, wherever they are. And as I said, I'm genetically 100% Polish. I was a second generation American. I ended up coming to the UK in 1981 to live and work, and I've been to Poland now about a dozen times since 1994. So Poland near and dear to my heart. So patriotically, I'm 100% Polish as well. So I believe that it's very important to celebrate this day, not just to celebrate it, but educate about it, because in the USA, the level of ignorance about Poland and its history is vast. That's among the average American. And there are about 10 million people in the USA of Polish American heritage to some extent. Many of them do have the knowledge that they should have about Polish history. But when I was growing up, I was born in 1946 in Chicago. Chicago is supposedly the second largest Polish city, etc., as was, not so much today perhaps, because the Poles are dispersed around the country and the world from there. But the level of knowledge about things Polish and Polish history when I was growing up were minimized. There's nothing to speak of in the USA. In the Chicago area, it was dominated by the Irish. Chicago's Mayor Daley covered the politics and all the unions and the police, fire, etc. It was like almost a Polish republic in terms of having any other ethnicities involved. So within the Polish enclave, yes, there was good knowledge, but beyond that, just virtually nothing. And it's even worse today about Polish knowledge. So in the USA, it's a big, hard battle to get any Polish knowledge. So Polish Heritage Day, within the Polish enclaves, yes, they'll celebrate it. Within Poland, I think it's even more important, the youth today, not to forget their heritage. I'm sure it's taught in some ways, but is the full truth taught? What is left out? In the Polish militia group, we have seen countless situations in 2005 where someone says something that is true, but they leave out some very inconvenient facts, which then destroy their initial comment, basically. I can't give examples now at the time we have, but believe me, it happened a lot. So half-truths and leaving out the inconvenient bits that someone doesn't want you to know about, that happens today all over the world. US politics, Polish politics, probably. English politics, British politics, certainly. So the current generations, the younger ones, as they pass through from youth to adulthood, need to be reminded of the full facts of Polish heritage. And so the Polish Heritage Day is important, days are important, and also the Constitution, remembering that it's an old document. It was only in effect for a short time because of our unfriendly enemies, neighbors, but it's an extremely important day to be remembered and remember why it was started.
Well, thank you very much. This was very, very good view of why we should celebrate the constitutions. And you answer at the same time my second question already, which was about why should young people celebrate the Constitution today. I think that was very much self-explanatory in the way that you responded to my question. You also met many people of Polish origin born in the US and also in the UK. And you certainly must have heard about Sue Ryder, who was an activist, a British charity activist, who was very much devoted to Poland, who loved the country. And myself, with Polish Sue, we are trying to use this fantastic person as she was, who did all the good things. And we use our hero to show that you don't have to be actually Polish born to be patriotic. What do you think? I mean, you're not Polish born, you are patriotic. I think you are also a fantastic example of a person who is just that.
Well, I don't want to buy a bigger hat size, but thank you. Yes, I have. In my latter years of life, I became much more active in studying Polish history, my own genealogy, and I've tracked back to the early 1800s now so far, and then I've hit a brick wall in tracing ancestors. So my Zamoyski ancestors certainly were patriotic, obviously, and even in today's world, I think that people who know anything about Poland, who aren't Polish, will have many misconceptions. They'll have very small amounts of truth about it. Sue Ryder, however, is very well known in the UK, as you'll be aware, of course. In fact, I asked someone recently, have you heard of Sue Ryder? Oh, yes. Did you know she was very active in Poland? Oh, never knew that. So that's a UK person who's highly educated, and they didn't happen to know. So there's a lot of information need to get out about that to make sure that people do realize Sue Ryder, yes, a well-known person in the UK, but she also had extremely important work she did, very patriotically and also very kindly and generously, giving of herself and her time and her name, etc., to establish homes and houses and services and support activities in Poland. And most people will not know about that at all. And I think it's sad they don't know, but part of your activities today, I'm sure, is to publicize that information and get the word out that Sue Ryder, oh yes, we know her, and she was acting in Poland. Oh, well, that's wonderful. I hope that's what I imagine that's what they were saying.
Yes, you are very right.
There's a large need. Go ahead.
You're very right. We were trying to do just that, and taking into consideration that she has established herself over 30 homes in Poland, and thanks to her, in Poland we started having this idea of charity shops as well. We have, I think, about 8 at the moment, open in Warsaw alone, and this network of charity shops, and the idea that she was promoting the idea of charity and helping other and disadvantaged people is now introduced in Poland. We didn't really have the idea of bringing all the clothes to shops or buying a second-hand clothes, and this is what she introduced in a big way of you can help others, but just doing that, So
can I interrupt? That's an extremely important thing for her to have introduced for their own fundraising, but also for publicity about what Sue Ryder is doing within the Sue Ryder organization is doing within Poland. Because charity shops in the UK are now all over the place. Many were shut during this Chinese communist dictatorship virus, that's my view, pandemic over the last year and more. But they're still surviving, and there are people who desperately want to not throw out their old clothes, etc. They want to have them recycled, and these charity shops do a great job. And to have Sue Ryder have been the one to introduce that to Poland is wonderful. That's a big boon, I'm sure.
Yes, indeed. So I think that we would like to just summarize our conversation at this point. We started talking about Poland's good names and how can we work together to keep the Polish good name through what you do and through what we're trying to do also with Sue Ryder, trying to introduce the idea of helping others. Now, to put it all together, we all can be patriotic, not even being born in Poland, but the bottom line is we all should join in to celebrate big events like the 3rd of May Constitution, and to show and progress our Polish good nature, and show other people how we celebrate, especially when we live in other countries like in America or in Britain, where we have been now starting to be recognized as a really influential group of people. It's over 1 million Poles living here in Britain. So I think we should keep our traditions and our celebrations, and it's very good to see you today, Dan. I really appreciate your impact on this discussion, and your comments. We are meeting within the Polish Heritage Days, as you know, which is also a form of celebration of Polishness and being patriotic,
Indeed.
I suppose.
Indeed. Splendid. Well, thank you for the opportunity. Lovely to speak to you, Iwona.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.